Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie, and today we are going to be doing some window shopping for Hella Handmade. Hella Handmade Creations, or HHC for short, is another monthly pre-order marketplace. It takes place over the course of 1 week, so it's a bit longer than PPU. And the other main difference is that while PPU has these monthly rotating kind of themes, for HHC, every maker or brand has their own theme that they stick to. So as you can see, this video is already pretty long, so I hope you have a snack, something cozy to drink, and I will talk more at the end. All right, so here is the website. As always, HHC is going to be open from the 14th through the 21st, and we'll look at the first two rows here, even though the first row is really just what we're looking at. Immediately, the alchemy is catching my eye, but I do want to mention, I can't provide a photo because I just am not allowed to. So let me just say that, if you happen to miss out on this alchemy, don't worry about it. We're going to see something probably very similar to this, hypothetically speaking. You know what I mean? So just wanted to mention that. It does pain me that I can't mention anything more, but it is really cool. It is giving me all those spooky vibes. Very excited for that. But other than that, the only other one that's kind of like, piquing my interest is the 1422. Not enough to get it because just from this photo, I can tell that the flakies are like a little too large for me. Like if they were maybe daintier, I would have liked them more, but I love that base color. It just looks so stunning. So yeah, we can just keep it moving to the next two rows. And here, this the only Arcana lacquer, Chillin' with My Chaos. This one, what is this reminding me of? I think the base of this is reminding me of the Witch Cult nails from a couple of months ago that was inspired by Mint, the Animal Crossing character, but that one had a much more subtle, like barely there pink shimmer. And this one has a much more noticeable shimmer. It's still not like, a super like glowy kind, but it's definitely very noticeable. But yeah, this is really, really pretty. I love this one. If I didn't already have the mint one, I think I would be tempted to grab this, and I almost in a way prefer this just because the shimmer is more noticeable. I feel like this also kind of reminds me of a more opaque version of Bee's Knees lacquer Little Star, I think is what it's called, where that one kind of has a seafoamy sort of base color with a much more glowy kind of shimmer. Like that has a glowy shimmer. This one, I wouldn't say it's glowy, but it's still noticeable. But this looks like it has a little bit more of a pigmented kind of crelly base. The Bee's Knees, is a lot more sheer. And honestly, I already got rid of one Bee's Knees to swap it out for a more opaque version. So now I'm wondering, can I justify it for that reason? Is that silly? I mean, I would swap it out. I'm not gonna, hold on to both. You know what? I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna consider this like an upgrade to that polish just because, I don't know. While I think Bee's Knees makes beautiful shades, sometimes some can be so sheer that they just, they piss me off, right? So I'm tired of having polishes that piss me off in my collection. But yeah, other than that, I'm not super interested in like the other shades, and they also don't really remind me of other things necessarily. Like maybe the Atomic is something a little bit more on the simple side where we probably have seen it before, but I can't think of an exact dupe for this. It is really pretty though. I love how glowy that pink shimmer is against like that soft purple and like the dainty hollow. I love this kind of finish, but I don't need it, so we can move on. And from here, so okay, my eye is immediately going towards that BCB duo, but we'll look at that in the next two rows where it's like, the individual ones. I do also want to mention there's another shade that is reminding me of something that I don't think I can talk about. Well, actually, I have shared sneak peeks for this brand before. But you know what? This actually is pretty different. So maybe never mind. Now that I mentioned it, I am going to show you the sneak peek because that would be so rude of me to bring it up and then not show you. This Baroness X cartomancy looks kind of similar to an upcoming cracked polish shade. I'm blanking out on the name right now, but I don't know, it's like a punny like morning light or something, and I love it so much. But I think this is a bit more green leaning. It is described as being in a gray base, but I don't know, some of the photos, I mean, I guess it is the gold shimmer that kind of shifts to green in extreme light, but I don't know, maybe this is just a bit darker, more pigmented, slightly more green. The cracked one to me reads, like more neutral or just maybe a lighter gray. So it is really cool, very unique, giving, kind of eerie vibes, but I don't need that one. Then the single BCB here, Glitch, this one looks kind of cool, but I was gonna say, almost reminds me of Mooncat's Chemical X from the Powerpuff Girls collab, though this has a bit more of a gray leaning base. It's described as an espresso crelly, so it's a very dark brown. I can see how some photos, it leans that way where it's like so dark it almost looks black, but then these photos make it look a lot more neutral, like in that charcoal gray kind of territory. So, a little bit of a chameleon shade, probably again due to it being a jelly, and also, depending on skin tone, lighting, all that kind of stuff. So it is kind of cool in that way, but yeah, the rainbow flakies in a dark base always make me think of that Mooncat shade. And I don't much care for the magnetics here, so we can move on to, okay, well, let's go back. I was so sure that this BCB was going to be available as two individual polishes, but I guess not. Either way, I'm not going to be getting these because I have so many neon greens in my collection. And even though neon orange is so iconic, like this is such a great duo for Halloween, I just personally don't need it in my collection. For the green, I immediately think of a couple of shades like Prison Parade's Mall Brat, Apocalypses, making apocalypse jokes like there's no tomorrow. They even have like a super bright orange. I don't know if it's this, no, I don't think it's this shade of orange. It's maybe a bit lighter or like more yellow leaning. That one I think is for the pun of it, but yeah, definitely a very beautiful looking duo. I've only tried one BCB before and it had, a great formula. I love that these are very pigmented looking, very intense, shimmery kind of neon shades. So, they're tempting in a way, but I don't need it. But yeah, so now we can just move on to the next two rows here. And to be completely honest, I'm not really feeling any of these. We have a lot of magnetics, duo, single, individual polishes, whatever. But even just, the general color vibes, like I guess the only one that kind of sticks out to me the most is the Vanessa Molina duo on the bottom, Starborn Queen. But I feel like it's something they've done before with the really colorful flakies, the intense blurple blue, base. It's gorgeous every time, but it's not tempting enough to grab it. So yeah, we can move on. And oh my god, from here my eyes immediately are drawn to the Colores de Carol Halloween duo. Oh my god, how freaking cute. The shades are called Creep It Classic and Spookadelic. Oh, how freaking fun is that? I low-key, I say this with love, right? I low-key wish that this is what Tyler's Trinkets did for his PPU offering, because, don't get me wrong, I love the white Crelly, and to be fair, I do love it more than this white Crelly, no offense. Even though this has the back glitters, that's such a perfect touch. But the more that I think about it, the more I wish the polish was like a topper, or that he also offered a topper, because it was just the most perfect glitter mix, for Halloween. And the fact that you can layer it over other Halloween shades, it's just so, man, I would have loved if that was a topper. So I do appreciate that Colores de Carol is doing this. It kind of, Yeah, because it looks like this is only available as a duo, so that kind of sucks a little bit. I wish, people had the option to choose whether they wanted the topper or the crowley, but yeah, that is just so freaking fun. And before we get to the rest of the polishes on the bottom row, because those are also like, catching my eye, I do want to tap into the other Colores de Carol here, the Herbalist, because again, this shade of green, well, this is very different then, because it's described as an olive green. So I, like, seeing this photo, I did not immediately pick up the olive kind of tone. I thought this was more of a blue leaning green, but in these other photos, I can definitely see the more yellow olive undertone. It still is pretty. I mean, even if it was like this, more blue toned green, I wouldn't have bought it, but I just, wanted to admire it. I don't know, I'm just really loving greens right now. But back to the bottom row, these two cracked polishes, I know that I've seen a couple of swatches of this one, Patch Me If You Can, which so freaking cute. I feel like this is almost what I would consider a pumpkin orange if I lived on a tropical island. Like, there's something about this that is so summery to me and so bright. I think it can still work, for Halloween, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be getting it, but it is so pretty. At the same time, I wanted to look at it a little bit more, and I didn't realize that there's another shade being offered. I don't think I saw swatches of this one. It's called Seattle Freeze, and honestly, I'm like low-key a little bit more tempted by this one. I don't think I have something quite like this in my collection. Like, the Mooncat shades I'm thinking of aren't like this. They're either more, purpley in their base. Like, I'm really thinking of Root of All Evil, but I don't even think the shimmer in that one is blue. This is such a beautiful, like, moody shade. I would love this for fall, but realistically, I'm probably not really gonna wear it that often. It's just one of those that, it's just so pretty, right? So wanted to look at it a little bit more. And lastly, I just want to glance at this cuticula because it looks like molten leaves in a bottle. It honestly kind of does remind me more of like lava, but it is so glowy. Oh my gosh. I especially love, the red orange kind of color with the accents of gold and black. So stunning. What a perfect Halloween kind of shade, but I already know I'm not gonna wear it that often. So yeah, some beautiful shades here, but unfortunately we're not gonna get any of them, so we can just move on. So now from these two rows, the Cuticula Halloween contribution, Caramel Apple Pop, this looks so freaking cute. Like, I'm not tempted to get it, but I love it. First of all, it's a beautiful shade of green. I love the base color, right? But the flakies in this, like, they literally look like fall leaves, which I know the whole point is supposed to be caramel apple, and, it's just gross thinking of leaves. Can you imagine there's like a big gust of wind and then it blows up all these leaves and they get stuck to your caramel apple? That's what this is giving me, but like in a yummy way. No, but seriously, it is so beautiful, so unique. Like, I don't think I've seen a polish like this before, so I appreciate that. But yeah, we're not gonna get it. And the only other one that I really like from here is this Elb called Manipulator. I just love this color. Obviously not gonna get it because it looks so similar to Holotaco's Vine to Table, except this is a linear hollow, so anybody who is a crushed hollow hater, this would be a great alternative because it looks like it's that same kind of burgundy reddish purple kind of color, and I love it so much for the season. It is just such a beautiful shade of purple. But yeah, I don't really care for anything else, so we can move on. And from here, this Emily Damali Encore, it's called Opalite. Oh my god, why am I tempted by it? I mean, it's stunning, right? Look at that. Shut up. Oh my god, respectfully, shut the hell up. What do I have that looks like this? Because I feel like I have I probably have a couple of shades that have a very similar base color. I'm immediately thinking of like Island Peas up above, but that's obviously a flaky, right? This has a shimmer and I love shimmers. The shimmer in this angle, well, I guess in, you know, a couple of these where it's more of that, what color would you even call that? Is that orange? Like, I don't even know, but this shimmer color kind of reminds me of Polish's Send Nudies, but this is like, you know, the pastel version. So I am really tempted by this. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna add this to my wish list. This is such a me shade, you know what I mean? Like, this should not be surprising. So we're gonna get out of there, and yeah, unfortunately I am not interested in this garden path lacquer, so we can move on and let's just go to the next two rows here. Okay, from here, the one catching my eyes is the Indie Polish by Patti Lopez Girls from Another World, because I'm like, oh my god, is this the pink Flight of the Monarchs that I've been looking for? It looks so stunning. I remember having this, like, you know, same kind of dilemma when I picked up Ethereal's Calcifer. I think it was like last year at this point, because I wanted that to be a little bit more pink than Flight of the Monarchs, which has a purple base underneath all of that fiery copper kind of shimmer. Oh my gosh, this is just like, it looks like, you know, a sunrise in a bottle. It is absolutely magical. I am so tempted by this. I need to see somebody out there has to have compared. Like, someone who got PR must have Flight of the Monarchs. Like, please, I am begging for that comparison, because these photos have me so weak. Like, I don't know if it's just the lighting, but I feel like this does look like it has a warmer, pinker kind of base. Obviously most noticeable in like these photos, so you know, I don't want to like just rely on them, right? If every photo looked like this, oh my gosh, are you seeing that? Sorry, that's probably like so annoying. But I would hands down grab it if every single photo looked like this, you know? So for now, we're gonna skip it, but I am gonna be thinking about that shade. But yeah, other than that, the other Patti Lopez shade, Dark World Mansion, this magnetic, you know, it's beautiful, but it's kind of giving Island Peas flip side. Maybe a little different though, because these photos, you know, lean a little bit more indigo. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't remember if flip side, like if the colors were like this or if they were reversed, you know, between the magnetic and the background shimmer. But basically we've more or less seen this kind of, you know, magnetic pigment combination before, but this photo is definitely very glowy. Like, if a polish can look like this all the time, it would be so much more tempting. But yeah, so not really interested in anything else here, so we can just move on to the next two rows. And from here, honestly, I'm also not really feeling anything else. Like, I was gonna say the Moth and Moon looks kind of interesting, but then seeing that it has that blue shimmer in the background of the magnetic, there's something about like a blue and gold that just, I do not like that color combination, and I am so sorry, because I know a lot of people do. I think it can work maybe in some polishes. Like, I really like how this looks kind of just on its own, but seeing that hint of that like blue shimmer in there almost kind of like ruins it for me, which is, I don't know, maybe a little too dramatic to say, right? But I do think it looks cool in like certain, you know, photos or angles or whatever. But yeah, you know, the other shades they're giving like Halloween, spooky, eerie, but, you know, not super interesting or tempting to me. So moving on here, yeah, unfortunately, I'm kind of feeling the same about these. I feel like we've seen so many magnetics, you know, and sometimes like I'm really into them. The color combinations are cool. I mean, like the Nothing Basic looks very color shifty, so it's interesting in that way, but I don't know, there's something about like, I guess that blue base that is just not calling to me. So I'm just gonna keep going. Okay, from here we got some more, you know, spooky Halloween vibes going on. This other nothing basic, Aye Captain. I just want to look at the flakies because it's like, I know this is a type of polish that like would give me the ick when I'm wearing it and I see it on my nails, but I can't help but just love it on other people, you know? Like there's something about these super large mylar kind of flakies that they're so beautiful, but I don't know, they just, it's like they make my nails itch or something. Like I can't stand the thought of actually wearing it. But I love how it looks, you know, the colors, beautiful. Also, this nothing basic magnet axolotl. That is so funny. People, I've seen, I think we already scrolled past it too, that there's like a cat shaped kind of magnet. It's so entertaining to see. I think they look cute, but I already have so many magnets. Granted, I think this would provide like that stripe effect, and I just have, you know, a bunch of the regular kind of bar magnets, so I don't think I'd be able to recreate that. But yeah, that is so cute. But as far as the polishes go, I really am loving just like this bottom row here. The two polishes are very pretty. Obviously love the pink one, but not really tempted to get it. But this purple though, the Halloween contribution, the mysterious key, which I'm not sure if that's how that's pronounced. I think this looks so fun. Oh my god, with flash, even better. Without flash, it's pretty, but yeah, I didn't realize that the coppery kind of flakies are as large as they are, which like they're not even that large, but I don't know, from like this photo they looked a lot tinier, I guess, though maybe it's just more obvious in the bottle now that I see that. So, you know, love how it looks here. Again, this is another one where like if my polish can look like this at all times, I would easily get it. But it doesn't, so you know, that's okay. We can skip it. I'm gonna save this Paint It Pretty for last because she's a beauty. This Paradox, I think, is so pretty. I was gonna say it like kind of reminds me of Mooncat's We're Back Witches from the Hocus Pocus 2 collab a few years ago. That one is a magnetic though, and this one obviously is not. It's just kind of a flaky polish, but color wise, you know, I feel like the colors are there, the flakies are there. It's a stunning deep green. I love it. It's beautiful, but you know, I don't need it. And lastly, speaking of, you know, polishes I don't need, this Paint It Pretty Sugar Spun Magic. Oh my gosh. I mean, first of all, just like the bottle, right? Like, wow. I would just love that, or love to have it on a shelf, you know, like a little trinket prized possession. The polish does look very beautiful, but I think this is another one that would kind of piss me off because it's a combination of being so incredibly sheer and also having like those flakies that I feel like you can kind of see the texture of them. This is definitely one that I love how it looks in the bottle, and I just would want it for that, like for displaying it, and I would never get a polish just for that. That is just so, that's a little silly to me, at least. If this was like, you know, a little bit more opaque, I think I would be tempted, right? I know it's also very similar to the, oh my god, what was it, the Emily DeMolly that I have on my wish list. Very similar to that, and I would, you know, rather go with the Emily DeMolly. But judging, you know, by the bottles, this one is so, like, look at that. I want to live in this little corner. Just literally stick me in there for the rest of the year at least. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But we can just keep going. And oh my gosh, we are back with more Penelope Lou's stunners. Obviously the first one catching my eye is lavender. Oh, how pretty is that? Wow. I can't say that, you know, this is like nothing we've ever seen before or whatever, because we've seen this, right? We always see purples with a blue shimmer, but like this one is extra glowy, right? Like is it just me? I can't tell if it has a more pigmented base, if maybe the swatchers did more coats than they normally do or something, but this is absolutely stunning. And I can't think of a close enough dupe for this. The only other Penelope loose that I had originally that was like a purple with a blue shimmer was Funny Tree, but I think that was more of a blue toned purple. This looks a little bit more of a pinky kind of purple, so it's a bit different in that way. Honestly, now that I look at it a little bit more, it almost reminds me of Bee's Knees Doomicorn, but a lot more pigmented, right? So maybe a good alternative if you missed out on that one, or if you never cared for how sheer it was. And the other Penelope loose is a duo for Halloween, Look at the Mirror and Bloody Mary. Absolutely not. Let me know how many of you guys have done Bloody Mary. I would rather take a water gun to my head, if you know what I mean. So anyway, that's a joke, I'm kidding. This looks gorgeous. I was gonna say, how is this different than their PPU offering, but it looks like, you know, it's a magnetic base and then a red jelly. So what an iconic duo. I love the base in this too. I was gonna say I'm kind of tempted, but not really, because it's like I already have red magnetics, red jellies, like, you know, I don't need that, but I do like how the base polish looks on its own. I think it looks very pigmented, which I appreciate. It has a very strong contrast with the magnetic shimmer. Not that super fine kind of pigment. It also looks kind of gritty, which I'm assuming is like the little holographic, but the hollow looks a lot more, yeah, it says Bloody Mary is a red jelly with silver hollow glitters. So I'm not sure why it looks like there's glitters in here, because it doesn't mention that. So these don't look as textured, so I don't know, maybe it was just like that swatcher had a few bubbles or something. But yeah, it looks stunning, super stunning, but I don't need it. So yeah, very gorgeous, but you know, we can move on to the next two rows here. And I would say from here, the one that I think catches my eye the most is the Phoenix Can't Read My... Okay, yeah, I'm like, is this Lady Gaga? That makes sense. It's beautiful. I feel like they've also done this before. I don't know if this would be close to Mooncat's Mortals Be Warned. I don't know if that's the one I'm thinking of, or if that's like the purple multi-chrome in their collection. But you know, it's like I'm trying to say, it's a simple enough finish that I feel like we have seen it before. I feel like there's a Bee's Knees that we saw like this. So it's stunning, but you know, not unique enough to add. And I do also want to just look at this Psyche Minerals because I loved their PPU contribution. This is another orange, but more of a yellowy kind of orange. But I don't love it as much as their PPU. Like if I had to choose between this and PPU, I would go with PPU, but unfortunately I did not do that, right? So I kind of missed out. I don't think I regret it though, but you know, I'm just saying it's beautiful. And the other shades, like even, you know, the greens, I've been having a moment with them, but I don't know, I guess like the only one that I kind of like is the Red Eyed. Like I love the base color in that, but I don't much care for the little flakies in it. In a way, it's kind of cool. It kind of is giving me granite countertop. But yeah, if it didn't have the flakies, I would be all over it. So we can just move on to the next two rows, and here there's just a couple of polishes. They're just the Ribbit Stickets. Oh my god, these whole, like everything in these two rows are Ribbit Stickets. And unfortunately, I'm not really interested in the polishes. Maybe eventually one day I'll try like the cuticle cream or something. Maybe I'll consider that for like the winter months, but yeah, we can just keep it moving. And from here, definitely a couple of beautiful shades. I would say the two that stand out the most are the Sassy Cats and the Sassy Pants. The Sassy Cats Palm Crayon Glam, very beautiful, kind of reminding me of Lurid's You of Unshakable Conviction, or maybe she has one that's like a little bit darker or like more red leaning. Actually, this one kind of looks pretty dark too. It sort of changes, right, depending on the lighting. I love how it looks here. Oh, this is stunning. But even when it's in, you know, these other photos where it looks a little bit brighter and juicier, also really love that. I don't think I love it enough to add it to my wish list, but it is gorgeous. And the Sassy Pants Crimson Leaves, I just love these kind of colors for fall. It's just a beautiful burnt orange kind of shade. Like, it's so stunning. It looks like it's almost a metallic kind of formula though. I like how it looks here where it's very, you know, shimmery with like a little bit of that hollow, but then some of the other photos it looks a lot more metallic, which, you know, I don't love. Like this photo, chef's kiss, pure autumn perfection. But again, we don't need it, so we can just move on to the next two rows. And from here, okay, this Watcha Neptune, this is, I'm pretty sure, an exact dupe to Mooncat's epilogue to Utopia. I feel like this even has a very, like, the same super finely milled magnetic pigment. Like, look at how smooth that looks here. And I'm pretty sure this is the one that I'm thinking of that has that specific like color combination where it's like the indigo magnetic, you know? So it is a couple of dollars cheaper, a slightly tinier bottle, but for, you know, the price difference, this one might be worth it. And of course, the other one that is kind of catching my eye is this Wicked Lacquer, the zipper. I mean, I don't love the glitters in here, but I love the jelly base with the shimmer at least. It's the extra glitters that I'm not a big fan of, but it's pretty, just not for me. So yeah, we can just keep it moving to finally the last two rows. I feel like I've been scrolling for forever. Okay, from here, the Wicked Halloween contribution. This looks like, I don't remember the brand, but there was literally a brand that had a similar-ish kind of polish for PPU. Actually, maybe not so similar. I think these are more metallic kind of glitters. The glitters I'm thinking of in the PPU polish were matte, I want to say, and like maybe more neon in color. I think it was called Cybergoth Dance Party, right? But I don't remember what brand did it. But yeah, this one is kind of giving like similar vibes. Like they're definitely cousins, you know? And the witch cult here, super stunning. I love that it's inspired by Poppy. She's so cute. It looks gorgeous here. Like, oh my god, I wish the rings were not out of focus because this photo is a vibe. Absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, I have, you know, a good amount of dark sparkly reds. These kind of photos where it's like more opaque looking remind me of Crack's Crimson Ecstasy, but then because it looks more jelly here where you see some more visible nail line, I wouldn't call it a dupe exactly, but it is in that same kind of color family. At least, well, you know, when you think of the darker photos, these brighter photos kind of give more maybe like Mooncat's Pandemonium or something, you know, where it's just like a much, much brighter shade of red. So if you want a chameleon, right, like a red that can look different depending on the lighting, this might be a good option, but I have enough reds. And the last one that's kind of tempting me here, or maybe not tempting me, just catching my eye, is this Zombie Claw Dedicated. Love that. This is so beautiful. It's like a cousin to Mooncat's Stumped, but with a much warmer, flaky color mix going on, you know, going from like the red to orange to yellow. It looks like there's a little pop of green maybe in the very like corners, but definitely more of that red-orange color going on versus the yellow-green in Stumped. And this also has a black base. Stumped is a very dark brown, so you know it's a little different, right? But kind of in the same family, still giving, like this photo especially, I'm like, oh my god, it's just fall in a bottle. Love that. But yeah, that is basically it. So we can just look at my wish list, and right, so I have these two polishes. This is so funny. I just can't help but laugh that the two polishes that made it to my wish list are these two pastels. And like the only other one that I was super tempted by was, I think, the Penelope Luz, right? Which was like the very light pinky orange copper shimmer. There's nothing Halloween about my HHC wish list. So that's really funny. But yeah, I'm very much in love with these two shades. So, you know, in the end, I'm happy with them. So that wraps up my window shopping for HHC this month. As always, I would love to know your thoughts on this month's offerings, what your window shopping looked like, what your wish list looks like. I don't think I had mentioned it in the intro, but this month is another pretty popular month, I think, for HHC, since there's usually a lot of Halloween contributions, though I don't think we saw one for like every single brand, which honestly I'm pretty relieved by, because otherwise it just would have been so overwhelming. I already, like I said, talked so much. I was scrolling so long, but I had so much fun looking at everything. I feel like, again, I was very successful with the window shopping aspect, where I'm looking at things, admiring how pretty they are, but I'm not, you know, tempted by them or interested in getting them at all. But as far as what's on my wish list goes, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love the shades, but I am kind of second guessing myself. I think mostly with the Emily Damali, because now that I had looked at it next to Polishes and Nudies, I feel like they are pretty similar. Like, I still think what I said during the video where Emily Damali looks like the more pastel version, you know, I think that's kind of the case, but they are still very similar shades. So I think I will hold on to the polish that I already have. I'm not really interested in swapping that one out like I am with the Bee's Knees, where I already did that with the previous Bee's Knees shade. I think it was I Will Be Your Undoing, and I swapped it for, I want to say it was BCB's Aesop's Fables from like a few months ago. So I'm definitely open to doing the whole, you know, one in, one out type of thing, because as I always say, I am always quickly running out of room in my collection. I'm still a little on the fence about it, because while I do see this shade as an upgrade, I'm still wondering if, you know, it's too similar to the Witch Kohl, even though I would still consider it maybe an upgrade that way because it's a little bit more shimmery. So basically that means I'm kind of debating if I should get rid of the Witch Kohl, which I don't want to do because I love the reference. I think the polish is cute. It's a beautiful, you know, formula and all of that. But how many minty shimmers do I really need? So I'm still on the fence. But yeah, let me know what your wish list is looking like this month, especially if you are grabbing any Halloween shades, because I was not really tempted by them, but it's not because they weren't beautiful or something, you know? So yeah, let me know any and all thoughts you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!